Hello and welcome. You're watching News Central Television. I am Judith TB. Here are the stories making headlines just beyond the continent. And we'll begin with the news in North America, where Mark Carney's Liberal Party has won Canada's election in a remarkable turnaround for the centre-left party. Prime Minister Mark Carney vowed Tuesday to defeat the U.S. in Donald Trump's trade war after leading the Liberals to election victory. The United Kingdom congratulated Mark Carney on his election win. The EU chief said the bloc will work with him to defend their shared democratic value and support free and fair trade. Carney said Canada must adapt to a world changed by America's turn against free trade, calling recent U.S. actions a betrayal. He declared that they will win this trade war, promising economic strength and resilience. Now, Trump's tariffs and threats reshaped the campaign, helping Carney surge past Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre and securing the Liberals another term in office.
The system of open global trade anchored by the United States, a system that Canada has relied on since the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped deliver prosperity for a country for decades, is over. These are tragedies, but it's also our new reality. We are over the shock of the American betrayal, but we should never forget the lesson.
Meanwhile, China has expressed openness to strengthening diplomatic relations with Canada following Prime Minister Mark Carney's recent electoral win, which secured his Liberal Party another term in office. According to a statement from the Chinese Foreign Ministry, Beijing is prepared to improve bilateral ties, emphasizing principles such as mutual respect, equality, and shared benefits. Relations between the two nations have faced strain in recent years over a range of political and trade disputes. However, Carney's re-election appears to offer a potential turning point. Chinese officials indicated that cooperation could resume across several sectors if constructive dialogue is prioritized. The renewed openness suggests that China may see the continuation of liberal leadership as an opportunity to reset the diplomatic agenda with Ottawa and pursue more stable engagement.
中方注意到有关报道，中方在中加关系问题上的立场是一贯的、明确的。中方愿在相互尊重、平等互利的基础上。
Meanwhile, White House launches attack on hostile Amazon over tariffs while marking Trump's 100 days. In a briefing to mark Trump's 100th day as U.S. president in his second term, the White House criticized Amazon as hostile and political over reports it will show consumers the added cost of tariffs. The clash stems from Amazon's move to highlight tariff-related costs directly to consumers, an action the administration calls or says undermines U.S. trade policy. Tariffs have been central to Trump's presidency, reshaping global ties and triggering economic turbulence. Over the past 3 months alone, Trump has unleashed a flurry of executive orders, rapidly remodeling the federal government. Critics argue his overreaching and straining foreign alliances, but his supporters say he is keeping campaign promises and putting America first.
I just got off the phone with the president about Amazon's announcement. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years?
U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bassett is touting progress on tariffs with key Asian allies, even as market uncertainty grows. In a briefing, Bassett he said that deals with India, South Korea, and Japan are taking shape, noting that announcements could be coming soon. Alongside White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, Bassett also emphasized that China must take the lead in ongoing tariff talks, while discussions with the European Union remain in progress. Despite the optimism, the inconsistent pace of tariff rollouts has rattled markets, leaving businesses unsure of what's next.
I'm glad you brought up our Asian trading partners and allies. They have been the most forthcoming in terms of doing the deals. As I mentioned, Vice President Vance was in India last week. I think that he and Modi made some very good progress, so I could see some announcements on India. I could see the contours of a deal with the Republic of Korea coming together, and then we've had substantial talks with the Japanese. Well, we're not going to talk about who's talking to whom, but I think that over time we will see that the Chinese tariffs are unsustainable for China. I've seen some very large numbers over the past few days to show if these numbers stay on, Chinese could lose 10 million jobs very quickly, and even if there is a drop in the tariffs, that they could lose 5 million jobs.
Let's go on a short break, shall we? When we return, we've got more news just beyond the continent. Stay with us. And let's get started with our first discussion for today. Joining us now to discuss the elections in Canada, we're joined by foreign affairs analyst Yemi Fajemisin. He joins us live from Scotland, UK. I know I butchered something there, Yemi. Forgive me. I do apologize, Yemi. But let's just get started, shall we? Why do you think Mark Carney and the Liberals won after being so far behind just a few months ago? Let's start there.
Yeah, thanks for having me. In politics, a lot can happen in a week, a lot can happen in a month. It's been a dramatic turnaround for the Liberals. To think that a few months ago, the Conservatives were 25 points ahead, and if the Liberals managed to turn things around, it's been astonishing. So to your question, the driving force behind these things is basically the economic war. The Trump administration or President Trump is decided to declare on Canada. So I think that's created a sense of patriotism among Canadians and that's what made them it drove a lot of people to the Liberals basically, because the Conservative candidates is kindly widely viewed as a Trumpian candidate. So the fact that Canadians saw through the Trump administration and they decided to demonstrate a sense of patriotism, I think that's essentially what's catapulted the Liberals to the victory we've seen.
And how did U.S. President Trump's actions influence the tone and outcome of the Canadian election campaign? I mean, let's just give a bit of context as to why the electorate decided to go with the Liberal Party.
Yeah, thank you. The Canada and the US for decades and decades have enjoyed good cooperation, and in terms of trade, in terms of so many things. Saying the Trump administration kind of declare an economic war on Canada shocked a lot of Canadians. You see, the Trump administration threatened to annex Canada to make it a 51st state, and you see the President Trump actually belittle the former Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau, as well. So those things, cocktail of so many things, kind of shocked Canada, and many couldn't believe their eyes, because many months ago nobody knew who Mark Carney was. Mark Carney wasn't your traditional politician. He's more of a technocrat, and the fact that the Canadians resonated with his rhetoric in a matter of weeks speaks volumes. And the main reason is because of the rhetorics and the economic war the Trump administration has decided to declare on Canadians. So it's really around threatening to annex Canada and disrespecting the country, basically, I think is what's driven the Liberals to this victory.
Now, if the Liberals fall short of a majority, I mean, which party most likely? Now that we know that the Liberals, if the Liberals fall short of a majority, which parties are most likely to support Carney in forming a government, and on what terms?
Well, they've won the election. Historically, as far as I'm aware, is the NDP, the New Democratic Party, usually does a lot of a coalition with the Liberals. At the moment, it's looking like the Liberals are going to be going for, they fall short for about 4 seats. There are 168 seats now. They need about 172 seats for majority. So talks will be ongoing. It's up to them to decide who they want to work with. They might decide to work with the NDP party. I think the NDP at the moment, they lost a lot of seats as well. But at the moment, they've got about 7 seats. So the Liberals, I think, needs about 4 or 5 seats to actually form a majority government. So we can't really say for now. It all depends on the dialogue, diplomacy, and conversations around who they want to form a coalition government with. So, these things are going to be clear in the next few days and weeks.
I wonder if a coalition government will be a solution or if it would be successful. I mean, citing South Africa and what's going on there. But let's look at the Conservative Party now. Their candidate lost the election. What does this mean for the party?
Well, they lost the election. However, in fairness to them, we should also recognize that they did well. I mean, at the moment, they go about 144 seats. And previous time, they've only got about 100 seats. So the fact that the candidate is actually done so well for them doesn't mean we should write them off. They're still going to be forming a good, solid opposition in the parliament. So we don't know yet if Mr. Pierre, the Conservative candidate, is going to be taking full responsibility. He lost his own seat as well in his town. So we don't know what decision is going to be making. Is he going to leave the party and pay way for a fresh start? We don't know yet. Is he going to carry on? Most like at the moment, it's looking like he's saying he's going to carry on because he's won a lot of seats for them as well. So these things, again, will be clearer in the next few weeks.
And lastly, before I let you go, how could Carney's win change how Canada deals with the U.S. moving forward, especially Trump and all of his rhetoric concerning the country?
Yeah, you know, in politics, things still have to move on. Prime Minister Carney still have to talk with President Trump. The only difference is the conversation this time is going to be frank. So Canada is going to be looking after its own interest. And it's looking like Canada is more open to do deals with European Union in Europe now. So that's kind of the rhetoric McCartney is driving to. We should also not forget that McCartney is an expert in crisis management. He was the central bank governor for Canada during the 2008-2009 financial crisis. And he was also the former Bank of England in terms of Brexit, when we had Brexit in the UK. So he's an expert, he's a technocrat, he knows what he's doing. So it's looking like what he's trying to say now is going to be driving more toward doing deals with European Union, which is a good thing. Canada is a vast country. It's got so many resources, energy. European Union has got good expertise as well when it comes to doing trade deals. And the European Union is the largest single market on the planet. So there's good stuff here. In terms of dealing with President Trump, he's definitely going to be negotiating good trade deals or refined trade deals with the U.S. government. He said he's going to be speaking with President Trump in the next few days. So coming weeks, we're probably going to know the details of their conversation. But one thing should be clear, it's not going to be business as usual between the U.S. and Canada going forward.
And we wait to see what that would mean for both leaders. Very interesting time we find ourselves with Donald Trump's second administration, and what it would mean as well for the entire global South as he continues to lead the free world. But I must say thank you, Yemi, for taking out the time to join us. Yemi is a foreign affairs analyst, giving us a bit of insight following the electoral win by Liberal Party in Canada. Let's switch gears now to France, where Yunus Abbas, one of 10 accused in the 2016 armed robbery of Kim Kardashian, has told the court he regrets the $10 million heist. Kardashian was tied up and held at gunpoint in her luxury apartment during Paris Fashion Week. The 71-year-old Abbas has admitted his role and even published a book about the crime. The court heard of his extensive criminal past, from bank robberies to drug offenses. Now, according to a lawyer for the hotel staff, said the receptionist on duty that night continues to suffer from PTSD. And let's also tell you that a major fire broke out at an electrical substation in West London, prompting a large-scale emergency response. Around 100 firefighters were deployed to tackle the blaze, which sent thick smoke over the area. Approximately 80 local residents were evacuated from nearby properties and taken to a rest center for safety as crews worked to bring the situation under control. London Fire Brigade's Assistant Commissioner Patrick Goulburn, he confirmed that the incident has not disrupted the area's power supply. He said that operations will continue for some time to ensure that they fully extinguish the transformer and substation. Now, the cause of the fire is currently under investigation and no injuries have been reported at this time.
Approximately 80 people have been evacuated from the surrounding buildings. They've been taken to a rest centre and are with local authority and partners. There are no reports of any injuries at this time. UK Power Networks confirms that the fire has not interrupted power supplies to the area.
And now to Europe, where UK Foreign Office Minister Hamish Falconer addressed the deadly attack in Indian-administered Kashmir that left 26 people dead. Speaking in the House of Commons, he described the situation as very sensitive, warning of risks to regional and global stability. Falconer urged Indian and Pakistani communities in the UK to remain calm and avoid escalating tensions. The UK has updated its travel advice, advising against all travel to Jammu and Kashmir, except for essential purposes. While the UK supports a peaceful resolution, Falconer emphasized that it is for India and Pakistan to find a lasting solution to the Kashmir issue.
The horrific terrorist attack in Pahalgam in Indian-administered Jammu and Kashmir on the 22nd of April was devastating. Our thoughts are with those affected, their loved ones, and of course the people of India. This is a very sensitive situation with real risks to regional and wider stability. The UK condemns all forms of terrorism and the extremism that sustains it, wherever it occurs.
Still in Europe, dozens of activists gathered outside the U.S. Embassy in Paris to protest the suspension of American funding for global HIV/AIDS efforts. The demonstration, led by the French Association AIDS, criticized the U.S. decision to halt funding to PEPFAR, a major international program against AIDS. Participants staged a die-in protest, highlighting the human toll of defunding international health programs. Protesters linked recent deaths to the withdrawal of support and warned of a potential global resurgence of the epidemic. The organization emphasized the need for France to strengthen its leadership in pandemic response. They called for increased development aid and greater contributions to global health initiatives, including the Global Fund to mitigate the impact of U.S. funding cuts. France's highest court has upheld the conviction of former Prime Minister Francois Fillon in the fake job scandal that derailed his 2017 presidential bid. Fillon was found guilty of paying his wife, Penelope, over €1 million in public funds for work she never performed as his parliamentary assistance. The Court of Cassation confirmed his 4-year sentence with 3 years suspended and a €375,000 fine. However, it has ordered a new trial to determine the final sentence. Both Fillon and his wife were also instructed to repay €800,000 to the National Assembly. On the French sentencing guidelines, Fillon is unlikely to serve time in prison and may instead be fitted with an electronic bracelet. And off to the Middle East, as Israel has released from detention a medic held since a deadly attack on ambulances in southern Gaza on March 23rd. The Palestine Red Crescent Society announced this on Tuesday, stating that Assad al-Sarraj had been detained on March 23rd, 2025, while performing his humanitarian duty during the massacre of medical teams in the Tal al-Sultan area of Rafah governorate. Now, according to the UN Humanitarian Office, OCHA, 8 staff members from the Red Crescent, 6 from the Gaza Civil Defense Agency, and 1 employee of the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees were killed in the attack by Israeli forces. The UN rights chief has called on countries to halt what he called the humanitarian catastrophe in Gaza. Now, this comes as a total Israeli blockade on aid is pushing the Palestinian territory towards a collapse of critical life-saving support. Israel strictly controls all inflows of international aid vital for the 2.4 million Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. It halted aid deliveries to Gaza on March 2nd, days before the collapse of a ceasefire that had significantly reduced hostilities after 15 months of war. And that's all we can take from beyond the continent. Now, do remember that if you see anything out there, make sure to send us your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number now showing on the screen. And while you're at it, make sure to follow us on social media. We're at News Central TV on all social media platforms. You can always watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422. That's if you are on the continent. We're also on GoTV now. Find us on channel 23. We're also on StarTimes, channel 274. We're also on Avo TV, or better yet, you can stream us live on YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV. Good night.